I'm creating an energy field for storytelling, opening up the field today with my dear friend and family constellations, facilitator Cheryl Walker, as we invite in the audience in frequency resonance to support each of our greatest support, healing, and consciousness, expansion, and evolution. Inviting in and acknowledging the avian energies today, the birds, the wisdom of our feathered ones. Welcome, Cheryl. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you, Melanie. It's always a joy to have a conversation with you and travel to as yet unknown spaces and times and places, but we'll be here now.
That's right. We set the intention in this space that we're going to stay on planet Earth. We're going to stay in this dimension, um, acknowledging that the space of healing in the physical body is in resonance and reciprocity with our alignment with time. So I'm just tuning into the audience today, to the listeners. There's a lot of restfulness. It's beautiful. I can see a lot of you are like going through periods of rest, where you've gone through a lot of tumultuous life changes, and it's like now you're taking the time to actually lay down and rest. I see you not like yawning and stretching, making cups of tea, spending time reading books, whereas maybe you never read books before, but it's just the call to go inward and to actually allow your physical body to rest and restore. What are you sensing, Cheryl?
It feels so good to rest and to be still and to receive the dynamism in the stillness.
What is it like to receive healing in the process of being still? And that can include intentionality and mindfulness.
Absolutely. For me, the stillness is listening and actually listening for an intention and receiving what I might not have thought of before, but actually receiving with my body, with no agenda, as being present, just enjoying the moment. The only place to be is here now.
I want to invite our listeners, if we're in a circle right now, if we can create a space for us to all just to listen. It's like we are in a space where time is slowed down and we have the opportunity to take those small sensations and kind of micro movements of energy, of frequency, of thought form, of mind. It's like when they get stretched out, we have the opportunity to hear messages that we were otherwise too busy or rushing forward to not be able to previously hear.
Exactly. There is no such thing as a small sensation. It seems small because we haven't heard it before or listened to it. And our body has so much information that to slow down and listen to our body and allow it to release and to receive even more.
I'm noticing like where in my body and in my energy there's like excess buzzing happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the more I can slow down and listen to it, the faster it seems like it's moving because I'm slow in relationship to it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to allow, allow it in. I'm feeling my fingertips now. And I'm feeling a spiral in my root that's anchoring me to the earth. And my feet are very firmly planted. And by doing that, the space around me seems more porous, more spacious, more expansive.
I want to invite everyone to tune into spaces of tension and to allow yourself to kind of move to the edge of that tension with curiosity. It's like taking these slow little steps.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear some of you saying or thinking, oh, I didn't see that there before.
And then how does it change by placing your intention there?
There's like a softness, like an expansion into noticing more light. And it's like, it's not that the light just came in or became more. It was like by noticing it, the acknowledging and the conscious awareness of the light that is there already creates like a softness around the sensation or the tension. And maybe some warmth too.
Very well said, yes.
I
Our
can see,
attention.
oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. I was just saying that I can see a bunch of birds flying in,
Hmm.
particularly like crows and ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Crows and ravens, a lot of them. they're coming in, and my eyes are drawn to my little container of feathers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just tuning into what they're doing. Because I can still see you all laying down and relaxed and in bed and cozy. And really tuning into your joints and these kind of creaky, squeaky parts of the body that have been stiff or just not given attention in a while. And it's like as if these birds flew in and they're in like their own community. They're like in their own circle, but they're all close together.
Mm-hmm.
They're like eating seeds. I hear some birds outside squawking.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to notice that there are many and that they are together, being together and interacting. It's not just one bird, it's many. And I think that's a message for us to be in community. And yet with birds, it seems like they're always moving. But imagine when a bird sits still. It's often not for very long. But there's the need to rest after flying and following the air and the currents. They also need to come in for a landing. And that's what we're doing by resting and listening.
There's something really important that the birds are teaching us about resting in community.
Yes.
That's a concept that has never shown up in my awareness, at least in this culture. That it's like we come together to like celebrate and to work and to create things, but when do we ever come together to just rest?
Exactly.
Knowing that, these birds, when they're ready to fly off, they're all going to fly off in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
They might not even meet again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, being crows and ravens.
Right. We come together in this particular moment, and this gathering will not ever be exactly the same. And each new gathering is informed by where we've all been in the meantime, just like the birds.
It's interesting to tune into the idea that when we come together to rest, like the birds, they have all this information that they've gathered. And it's like rather than speaking it and sharing stories and information verbally, there's something vibrationally to just coming together and being with each other. There's like
Mhm.
an invisible exchange of information that
Mhm.
happens that somehow restores and amplifies the group, each individual in the group, because otherwise they wouldn't rest alone, you know. They might land for a little bit and then fly off, but if they're gathering for a little bit longer of a period of time, there's actually an exchange of information that's happening.
Yeah.
That's funny. I just heard one of them say, "Well, we say things too," and I sound like the squawk. There's that part too. There's that part too.
Their own language.
The other day when I was walking in the woods, there were three feathers that came to me as a gift. And I've been having this experience for over a year now where I'll be walking in the woods or on a trail or in the neighborhood, and there'll be feathers. I'll just stop and just know intuitively to look down, and there's a feather right in front of my left foot. It's always a left foot,
Mhm.
and all sorts of different feathers. And it hasn't happened for a little while. This happened a lot last spring and summer. And for the first time this year, I was walking, and these three feathers were all stacked next to each other, one on top of the next. I don't actually know what kind of bird they're from. They have like a little white root.
Mm.
Maybe somebody in our audience knows. I don't know why it's important that they keep coming to the left side.
Well, the left side is traditionally the feminine
Right.
and can be the divine feminine. And how is it different moving forward with your left foot than it is with your right?
I kind of feel into less about the masculine and feminine sides of the body. Like while I have that orientation, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of resonate more with the idea of maybe it's like I'm used to stepping forward with my right foot first, and
Exactly. I
this
think
is
it's
like a
the
different
used to.
way. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's that traditionally dominant or what we're used to, exactly how you spoke it, but something different, a new way of stepping forward.
And it does feel like that whole process of reorienting to a new foot forward
Mm-hmm.
is like it requires a lot of rest and
Mm-hmm.
reflection. And I've been noticing like I've been doing a lot of kind of life reviews of various aspects, like different layers of stories, and how those themes have carried through my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I'm going to be writing about more. So I'm excited to kind of share the wisdom and the learning that I've gleaned from that experience. But this has been new for me, the whole slowing down piece.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to going really fast and rushing forward and getting excited about things and just wanting to create and just constantly moving and going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, recently it's like all I've been able to do is sleep.
Mm. I think in this time coming up to the spring equinox, that that is a time of awakening. Well, the awakening comes from being still and resting, but we
Mm-hmm.
often don't allow ourselves the time to rest and to hibernate and to be in the darkness and to be in the stillness. And when it's cold, And as it warms up, that's when the energy flows differently and things start to emerge into bloom. And well, that's the same with us too. But without the rest,
Mm-hmm.
we're not able to receive the new or listen to the new or find the new foot forward. We need the pause. And the pause, not just in sleeping, but right now, how we've slowed time down. I can hear my voice differently, and the spaces between the words and the pausing.
Mm-hmm.
And if we place our attention on the pause, how is what's next different?
It's interesting. I've been feeling that heat sensation come up in my left foot, and um, it was only brief. And when it came through, it's like I was acknowledging this feeling of wanting to step forward too soon, like
Mm-hmm.
walking on hot coals or something,
Mm-hmm.
like rushing into something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
And
can
I
see
get,
your audience stretching. It's like,
mm-hmm.
ah.
Yeah,
Just kind of
yeah.
like there's restfulness, but there's also like this waking up feeling and that like grogginess after a long sleep. Or, I mean, spring is coming, March 20th. So it's coming right up. So it's like everybody's just kind of stretching.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the information right now and then in general in my life that's been coming through over and over again is that there's going to be enough time to do things and that it's okay to slow down.
And I think when we spoke earlier about the stillness, that just knowing there's enough time
Mm-hmm.
is very reassuring.
And there's still a part of me that's like, no, it's not.
Of course. That's why we need the pause. That's why we need the rest.
Yeah.
But for me, I think that is the most reassuring thing about sitting still is there's nothing to do. There's nowhere to be but right here. And there is enough time. And there are so many circumstances that will try to have us believe otherwise.
There's something happening in the field right now. I think time is actually starting to speed up.
Mm-hmm.
Like we intentionally slowed it down, but I'm seeing this like wave come through,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like things are kind of coming back into real time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can hear a drum.
A
It's
little more
moving
in
fast.
focus. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the birds are getting kind of restless. Hmm. The metaphor I'm getting is like after a long sleep and a rest, it's like some of you are like pulling off the covers and jumping out of bed and like, look, I've got a new outfit on. Like, here's the new me.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's like there's so many different versions of that. Some of you coming out of your hibernation and it's like, well, look at this sweater that I hand knit by myself and I stitched this beautiful pattern into, and that there's just been so much care and love in this in between time of going inward and nourishing this creative juice behind what you're bringing into the world when you're ready, when the spring comes. Some of you just want to stay in bed. I can see that you like pull off the covers and you're like, I'm just going to put that cover right back on and close my eyes and not look at the world and have to see all of the shenanigans that are going on. I get that.
Yeah.
And some of you are just like sliding out of the bottom of your bed, just like a noodle. And you're just like, I'm so relaxed. Like there's a way of like being and walking in the world where you can just feel relaxed, that your nervous system is relaxed, that there is not even like the same kind of gusto to create and to kind of have that fiery masculine energy. It's more of like a softness and a receptivity to just knowing that there's a new way of creating within the state of relaxation and receptivity.
I honestly don't know how it's possible to create something new when it's not still and be conscious about it. The speediness is what kind of overrides our awareness, but our awareness is the most important thing. And whatever your particular pace is in any given moment has to be your pace. And the challenge is to calibrate to what's going on, to other people, how we calibrate to what's coming in.
And also just maintaining your personal pace. And even if that pace changes, can you set the pace in your life?
Exactly.
Can you make the conscious choice to move at a certain pace despite external influences?
Exactly. I think the birds all move at their own pace and then come together, recalibrate. Yeah, that is the biggest challenge and the biggest reward, to stay at our own pace.
And I'm just kind of tuning in to like, once you get to choose your own pace, you're actually going to find your own tribe of birds to land
Exactly.
and to rest and communicate and
Yes.
share, because
Yes.
all of you are on the same frequency band. But it starts with that stillness and that listening and the attunement to what pace do I want to move in any
Mm-hmm.
given moment.
Mm-hmm.
that's actually nourishing and supportive.
Mm-hmm. What does our own body want and need, and to listen to that.
I can see the birds kind of flying off in a spiral. They're kind of going back from the direction they came from. There's something clicking for some of our audience members. This acknowledging of the pace that each of you are moving and desire to move in. And that can include periods of rest and periods of work and periods of play and creativity and solitude and community. But just going back to that simple concept, which isn't simple at all, really,
Right.
to slow down and to listen with intentionality,
Mm-hmm.
to just receive the intention.
Mm-hmm. And to stay with yourself, no matter the circumstance. To stay with yourself when you're not by yourself, when you're with another, when you're with a group, when the environment changes, when the wind changes, when the weather changes. The rhythm constantly changes. And is it our rhythm? And it takes energy for that focus, and yet how can we do that and make it feel effortless?
What I'm seeing is like that each of us has our own drum.
Yes.
And it's like you can imagine that you're playing your own rhythm on that drum, and it's actually connected to your root center,
Yeah.
to that baseline stability.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the more you practice that beat,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes instinct.
Mm-hmm.
And so after a certain amount of time, when you start moving into the world, you can always hold that beat, even around others who have a completely different beat.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's happening from the root.
Yes. Yes, when it comes from within and it's grounded in the earth, it becomes in sync, or can. That's the intention, to be in sync with the earth's rhythm. And that's,
It almost feels like there's like a harmonic. It's like the
yes.
earth has her own rhythm.
Yes.
And I mean, people can talk about that as like the Schumann resonance,
Yeah.
7.83 hertz, which has its
Mm-hmm.
own range. It's
Mm-hmm.
around 7.5 to 8.5 or so. Don't
Mm-hmm.
quote me on that. There's an exact
Mm-hmm.
number,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
on average, 7.83 hertz. And it's like our base frequency can be a harmonic of that in our greatest state of health. Not that you have to know your exact frequency, but just being attuned to that rhythm and to that beat. It has a vibrational resonance that works in harmony with the earth's rhythm.
And with other people as well.
Absolutely.
And other living beings. Not just the ground, but the birds and the trees and the plants and the ants to really be
Yeah, it just
into.
really reminds me of the importance of getting our bare feet on the earth.
Yes,
It's like, well,
yes,
that's where those frequencies actually start to harmonize and to
yes,
sync together.
yes, yes.
And we could look at that from like a scientific standpoint, from what's happening electromagnetically and through our polarity. That promotes, the greatest state of health and reducing inflammation and balancing heat metabolism and kind of giving off the appropriate amount of electrons and taking in and all of that. That just, I think the scientific piece is kind of erroneous, really. We just all have an instinct to do and to be our natural selves with our environments. And so listening to that, listening to what those natural needs are.
And it feels good.
Yeah, that's so
Just
cute, right?
looking for what feels good, feeling the sensations. What sensations feel good? What's when am I not aligned? When I don't feel good, what's off? That's the time to pause, just to reharmonize, recalibrate, just shift rhythm. That's the pause.
And when you do that, it's like if your rhythm was so far off, you literally have to put down that drum and pick up a new one. Oh, that's hilarious. Now I can see you all forming a drum circle. It's like somewhere between a conga line and a drum circle. Oh, it's because you're congoing out of the room. I think the field is starting to close.
Oh, hmm. The pace is picking up. Time
Yeah.
to move forward.
Uh-huh.
It's actually an exciting feeling, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, something to look forward to.
exactly.
There's momentum.
Yeah. And that's why we need the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Allow the rest. And even 5 minutes of rest when the time is sped up. Just an extra breath
Mhm.
is sometimes enough, is often enough.
And just to kind of close the circle, I'm going to bring in the sonic slider, which is 12 times the Schumann resonance. And I'm just going to do some figure eights in the space, supporting the integration of this restfulness as we each find our own drum beats and our own path moving forward when the time is right. Thank you, Cheryl, for creating the space with me and for tuning in to restfulness.
Thank you, Melanie, for the invitation.
I'm sure I'll have to do this again. It's always curious to see what shows up in the field.
and to be in the stillness and receive it. We know, and to allow it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As we close this energy field, thanking all of our listeners and the birds for teaching us and for taking the time to slow down and really tune in. We'll see you next time.